increase our faith and attachment to the holy name. It's said that if we commit offenses to the holy name, that one way we can counteract this is by glorifying the holy name. So that's something we can add to our life. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sankecham Parihasam Va. Stobam Helanam Eva Va. Vaikuntanama Grahanam. Asheshaga Haram Vidu. Sankecham Parihasam Va. Stobam Helanam Eva Va. Vaikuntanama Grahanam. Sheshagam Haram Vidu. Sankecham Parihasam Va. Stobam Helanam Eva Va. Vaikuntanama Grahanam. Asheshaga Haram Vidu. Please chant.
Sankecham Parihasyam Va.
Sankecham Parihasam Va.
Stobam Helanam Eva Va.
Stobam Helanam Eva Va.
Vaikuntanama Grahanam.
Vaikuntanama Grahanam.
Sheshaga Haram Vidu.
Sheshaga Haram Vidu.
Sankecham Parihasyam Va.
Sankecham Parihasam Va.
Stobam Helanam Eva Va.
Stobam Helanam Eva Va.
Vaikuntanama Grahanam.
Vaikuntanama Grahanam.
Asheshaga Haram Vidu.
Sheshaga Haram Vidu.
Sankecham Parihasyam Va.
Sankecham Parihasam Va. Stobam Helanam Eva Va.
Vaikuntanama Grahanam.
Vaikuntanama Grahanam.
Sheshaga Haram Vidu.
Sheshaga Haram Vidu. Okay, the ladies want to chant?
Sankecham Parihasyam Va.
Sankecham Parihasam Va.
Stobam Helanam Eva Va.
Stobam Helanam Eva Va.
Vaikuntanama
Vaikuntanama Grahanam.
Asheshaga Haram Vidu.
Sheshaga Haram Vidu. Sankecham has an assignation. Parihasam, jokingly. Va, or. Stobham, as musical entertainment. Helanam, neglectfully. Eva, certainly. Va, or. Vaikunta, of the Lord. Namagrahanam, chanting the holy name. Ashesha, unlimited. Agaharam, neutralizing the effect of sinful life. Vidhu, advanced transcendentalists know. Translation. One who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from the reactions of unlimited sins, even if he chants indirectly to indicate something else, jokingly for musical entertainment, or even neglectfully. This is accepted by all the learned scholars of the scriptures. So this verse doesn't have a purport to it, but Srila Prabhupada gave a couple classes on it, so that we have some purport. I'll read some of those, some of the points he made in those classes, where he talked about the different ways one can chant. All right, Sankirtan, indication. Therefore, in the Hindu families, they keep the name of the children with God's name, just like this Ajamil. Although he was a very, very sinful man, still because the culture was there, he kept his son's name Narayan. He did not lose the culture, although he was so much sinful. The culture is so important. Sankirtan. You keep your children's name like he kept, Narayan. Actually, he became delivered because he kept his son's name Narayan. Sankirtan parihasam. Joking. Sometimes they joke. Oh, those people are chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then they joke also, Hare Krishna. Sometimes seriously, sometimes jokingly. So jokingly they are chanting Hare Krishna. That is taken to their credit. Although he is joking, he is not serious. Sankirtan parihasam stobam. Sometimes we make fun. To complete one sentence, sometimes we say Hare Krishna. We add it. So that is also accepted. And then helanam evava. Just like sometimes in the Western countries there's propaganda, as it was in Germany. Now they are going in Japan. These Hare Krishna people are very bad. But he's chanting. He's chanting Hare Krishna. While saying that Hare Krishna people are very bad, but the Hare Krishna is chanted. The helanam evava. And that is going to their credit. Although they're going to say, just like Ram Chor Nahe, and somebody heard Nahe Ram Chor. So Ram Chor, because he has uttered the name Ram, even though he says Ram Chor, he gets the benefit. Sometimes they joke, Krishna is Makan Chor. So he's accusing Chor. Chor means thief. But he's chanting Krishna, so he's getting the benefit. So some way or other, Yena Tena Prakarena Mana Krishna Naveshayat. This is the process. Somehow or other, you engage your mind in Krishna. Yena Tena Prakarena. That's from a class that he gave in Vrindavan, September 17th, 1975. So he also spoke another class in Allahabad at Kumbh Mela in 71. Now it is a very nice conclusion. He says, the Vishnu Dutta says, Sankirtan. Sankirtan means simply by indication. Sankirtan parihasam, or by joking. Sometimes people joke us. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. That also has effect. Or with devotion and reverence. Or Helena means without giving any importance if one chants. Vaikuntha means Krishna or Narayan. Vaikuntha nama grahanam asheshagam haram vidu. But even in such a way, one chants the holy name, then it can vanquish immediately many millions of sinful reactions. There's also another Bengali verse, Eka Hari Name Yata Papa Hari. Papi Haya Tata Papa Karebe Nahi. Once chanted Hare Krishna or Krishna's name has so much potency that it can vanquish millions and millions of sinful reactions. That so much a sinful man cannot commit. A sinful man can commit hundreds of thousands of sinful activities, but the holy name of Krishna is so powerful that a sinful man will be unable to commit so many sins as the name can vanquish simply by once chanting offenselessly. This is the conclusion. So the holy name is so powerful. Basically, our difficulty in being interested and enthusiastic about spiritual life is that we're burdened by sinful reactions. There's a nice verse, Yesham Tvanta Kata Papam Janan Punya Karma Tidvandamoho Nirmukta Bhajanti Mam Durdavataha. Persons have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful reactions are completely eradicated, are free from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. So people aren't interested in spiritual life or aren't determined in spiritual life because they're suffering the reactions of their past sinful activities. But if they come in touch with the holy name, even indirectly, I was in the Rath Yatra in Paris this year, and we passed a Japanese restaurant called Sushi Rama. So when people say Sushi Rama, they get the credit of saying Rama, and they become purified. So this wasn't their intention in naming the restaurant that way, but it happens. So, and then people say Krishna in the name of teasing the devotees. So this is counted to their purification. And the more they become purified, the more they are able to accept devotional service. When they run into a devotee, they may decide to purchase a book because they became purified by encountering the holy name. There's a conversation in Chaitanya Charitamrita where Lord Chaitanya is lamenting, my dear Haridas, my dear Thakur Haridas, in this age of Kali, most people are bereft of Vedic culture. Therefore they are called Yavanas. They are concerned only with killing cows and Brahminical culture. In this way they engage in sinful acts. How will these Yavanas be delivered? To my great unhappiness, I do not see a way. Namacharya, the authority of the chanting of the holy name, said, my dear Lord, do not be in anxiety. Do not be unhappy to see the condition of the Yavanas in material existence. And he explained that these Yavanas, by chanting the holy name even indirectly, that counts as namabhasa. And even when the holy name is chanted in that way, its transcendental power is not destroyed. Ajamil was a great sinner during his life, but at the time of death he accidentally called for his youngest son, whose name was Narayan. And the attendants of Lord Vishnu came to relieve him from the bonds of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death. If the devotee once hears the holy name of the Lord, or it penetrates his mind, or enters his ears, which is the channel of oral reception, that holy name will certainly deliver him from material bondage, whether vibrated properly or improperly, with correct or incorrect grammar, or properly joined or vibrated in parts. When the loud chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is performed all over the world by those who follow in your footsteps, all living entities, moving and non-moving, dance in ecstatic devotional love. So Lord Chaitanya was in anxiety about how these people would be delivered, and Haridas Thakur was explaining by hearing the holy name, by you and your associates, they will become purified. One thing that's important to appreciate is the great faith that the acharyas have in the holy name. Lord Chaitanya had great faith that this chanting would spread all over the world, predicted 500 years ago. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says in that song Udila Arna, there's nothing of value in the 14 worlds, the 14 planetary systems that make up the material world, other than the holy name. Imagine if when you were chanting japa, your philosophy was there's nothing of value in the 14 worlds but the holy name. And you could chant very attentively, because we're distracted in our japa because we're thinking that there's something more valuable in the holy name. Whatever it is, our mind is running to something because our mind is convinced that something else has some value that's on the same level as the holy name. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he had so much faith in the holy name that he took a vow to chant 1 billion names, so he would become empowered to preach Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada, he had great faith in the holy name. Sometimes I do 3 hours of Harinam every day, and sometimes I can't find anyone to go out with me, so I'm just chanting myself for 3 hours. And sometimes it's a little austere, so I think about how Srila Prabhupada, he got on a boat when he was in his late 60s, and he journeyed 38 days to America. It's actually inconceivable. I've spent 38 hours on a train before, but I would never consider spending 38 days on a boat. But he felt this holy name was of such importance to the world that it could save the whole world from its destructive direction. As we can see, things are becoming more and more degraded. Like when I was growing up, you wouldn't have people going into schools with automatic weapons and killing 24 people. And people more or less, there were people got divorced, but it was very rare, and it wasn't considered popular or common, or people would be a little embarrassed about it. But now it's like 50 or 60% of the people. So there was a lot. Things have degraded even in just my short lifespan. But he felt that the whole materialistic direction that the civilization was moving in could be completely turned around by the power of chanting of the holy name. And some of the purports in the beginning of the 10th canto, where it talks about how Krishna came at a time when the demons were building up their military forces, because he wanted to eradicate the burden of the world. And Prabhupada saw right then the demons of today are building up their military forces. So he said that now Krishna is incarnated in the form of the holy name in the Krishna consciousness movement to rectify the situation. He also had so much faith in the holy name that there's many different instructions on devotional service in the Vedic literatures and the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. There's many things he could have told his disciples to do at the time of initiation. But basically he told them to chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra and to avoid 4 very sinful acts. And he had complete faith and conviction that the holy name was so powerful that all our material contamination could be completely vanquished in one life if we tried to chant the holy name without offenses and we avoided these 4 sinful activities: meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling. And sometimes when a disciple would say that he was so fallen that he didn't think he could be delivered, and Srila Prabhupada would say, are you saying there's some fault in Lord Chaitanya's process? Because this process is so powerful, even the most degraded, the Jagais and Madhais. We may have done a few bad things in our youth, but we are small time compared to Jagai and Madhai. But they were delivered. So Prabhupada had complete confidence in the power of the holy name to take the most sinful of all sinners to the spiritual world. So as I was saying before, that this effect of becoming free from sins by chanting the name, even indirectly, jokingly, for musical entertainment, or neglectfully, it's just a side effect. This came up in the conversation between the scholars and Haridas Thakur at the home of one Grihastha couple. Actually, some Grihastha brothers. They had a meeting, and Haridas Thakur and these learned scholars were there because Haridas chanted so many names. The scholars were talking about the name. And some of the scholars said, by chanting the name of the Lord, one is free from the reactions of all sinful life. And others said, simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, a living being is liberated from material bondage. And then Haridas Thakur spoke up. Haridas Thakur protested, these two benedictions are not the true result of chanting the holy name. Actually, by chanting the holy name without offenses, one awakens his ecstatic love for the lotus feet of Krishna. So the idea is that as souls, we're actually part of Krishna. And we have an intimate relationship with Krishna that we're forgetting because of being absorbed in material energy. And so that's as Prabhupada says, it's not something, it's artificial, but it's something that's natural. One verse that he would quote, Nityasiddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kalunai Shavanadi Shuddha Chitte Karye Udai, says that Nityasiddha Krishna Prema, that love of Godhead is established in the heart. Sadhya Kalunaya, it's not something to be gained from outside. Shravanadi, when one engages in devotional service, beginning with hearing, Shuddha Chitte, one's consciousness is purified. Karye Udaya, that love which is already existing in the heart becomes manifest. So then Haridas Thakur quoted a verse from the Bhagavatam describing this awakening of love for the Lord. And an interesting thing about this verse is it's quoted at least twice in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which indicates it's important. And the other time it's quoted is when Lord Chaitanya, he chants the holy name and he experiences all these ecstatic symptoms, which he interprets as being symptoms of madness. And he considers this chanting has covered my spiritual knowledge, and he goes to his guru to find out what's going on. And his guru is very happy and says, actually these are symptoms of love of God. And his guru Ishvar Puri quotes this very same verse, which Haridas Thakur quoted to these scholars, which is spoken by Narada to Vasudeva, the father of Krishna, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 240. When a person is actually advanced and takes pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord, who is very dear to him, he is agitated and loudly chants the holy name. He also laughs, cries, becomes agitated, and chants like a madman, not caring for outsiders. So this is something that's possible when one's love for God awakens, which is possible from the pure chanting of the holy name, which is possible by chanting the holy name in the clearing stage for some time and eventually becomes pure. There's an interesting effect. Sometimes people, when they first meet the devotees, they have a lot of enthusiasm for chanting the holy name and feel a lot of joy from chanting the holy name. And later on, it apparently isn't so nice as it was in the beginning. Some people talk about this as Krishna's introductory offer. And Ravindra Swarup Prabhu explained it philosophically in an interesting way one time in Mayapur. He said that in the beginning, when we chant the holy name, we don't know anything about it. So we do it completely innocently. And therefore that chanting is counted as namabhas. And namabhas is in the clearing stage. It's by chanting a namabhas, we become more and more purified. But once we acquire knowledge about the holy name and the offenses against the holy name, in order to maintain our position at namabhas, we actually have to try to avoid the offenses. If we don't try to avoid the offenses, we actually fall down from namabhas to namaparad, which is a materially contaminated stage, and therefore the feeling of liberation from material anxiety isn't there because we're maintaining attachments. We're performing aparads which bring us down from Namalas. But if we are very diligent about trying to avoid the offenses, we'll always remain in the clearing stage, and chanting will always be a positive experience for us, and ultimately we'll become completely pure and attain love for God. So that was explanation of Ravindra Sri Prabhu about that. Now, there's one verse that's actually quoted a couple times and also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's a verse by Rupa Goswami about the holy name. Now, Rupa Goswami is a very important person in our Sampradaya. Of course, Prabhupada gave us 2 books by Rupa Goswami, Upadeshamrita, the Nectar of Instruction, and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Nectar of Devotion. And he said that his guru, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, encouraged him to read the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu when he took initiation. And he gave that to us very early on. It was 1970, which was just 4 years after he started ISKCON, that he gave us this Nectar of Devotion. So there's one verse of glorification of the holy name by Rupa Goswami, and this verse is so good that all the intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya, they praise this verse. So I thought before reading the verse, I'd read the reviews by the eternal associates of Lord Chaitanya. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted this verse, Thakur Haridas, upon hearing the vibration, became jubilant and began to dance while praising its meaning. Now that's a good verse. Have you ever quoted a verse and have somebody start dancing? So Haridas, who is the authority on the holy name, he's the Namacharya, he thought, wow, this is a great verse. And there's another verse. At another time, when this verse was quoted, when all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially Sri Ramananda Roy, heard this verse, they were all filled with transcendental bliss and were struck with wonder. Everyone admitted that although they heard many statements glorifying the holy name of the Lord, they had never heard such sweet descriptions as those of Rupa Goswami. So here's that verse. The Sanskrit is, I've never surrendered to learning it. Its lines are very long, and I'm not even sure the meter of them. But the English goes like this. I do not know how much nectar the 2 syllables Krishna have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. When that name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and therefore all the senses become inert. So our minds are often giving us all kinds of difficulty, but in this state, the mind is completely conquered by the holy name, and the senses stop harassing us. So that was the best verse the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had heard about the holy name. The best praise of the holy name that I've heard in my limited experiences is by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and it's in that voluminous book by Bhakti Vikaswami, Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhava, where he has this quote by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and it's not just about the holy name, but it's about the congregational chanting of the holy name. Sri Nam Sankirtan is the best sadhana. If other sadhanas help us in Krishna's Sankirtan, then they deserve to be called sadhana. Otherwise, they are simply impediments to sadhana. We may be very proud of our sadhana, but if it doesn't increase our interest in the congregational chanting of the holy name, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur considers it bogus. In fact, it is just an impediment to sadhana. Sri Krishnanam Sankirtan is the emperor of all sadhanas. Sadhana means spiritual practice for people who are new. It is the only infallible sadhana capable of bringing us to siddhi. Siddhi meaning perfection. So I never heard anyone so fired up about congregational chanting of the holy name as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prabhupada would mention that he considered kirtan to be more important than japa. It's because the effect is so great, it benefits so many other people in addition to ourselves. It's also described that the loud chanting of the holy name creates faith in the holy name by people who hear it. So, it's interesting, Prabhupada was listening to those lectures in Vrindavan, and he told the Swami, don't go past half an hour. So, this is all the material I've prepared for this class, and I'll leave it open for questions and comments. I can I can tell different stories about the practical effect of the holy name if there's more time and interest. Lakshminath Prabhu.
In regards to Srila Prabhupada's faith in the holy name, when Srila Prabhupada had the deities Krishna Balaram,
the deities of Krishna Balaram installed, of course he had Brahmins and pujaris and so forth do the ceremonies, because he said otherwise the local people will not accept our deity. But he said the real installation was the holy name, the kirtans that was taking place. And when Srila Prabhupada was taking sannyas, he was in the Keshava Gaudiya Math temple, and his sannyas guru Keshava Maharaj was giving him sannyas. And as we know, when there's fire yajnas and so forth, there are different prayers that are chanted. So it so happened that Krishnadas Babaji was there. He was Prabhupada's godbrother, and he was always chanting the holy name. So he was there in some corner and he was chanting. So the head priest told him, okay, stop because you're disturbing. We're chanting these prayers. And Prabhupada went to him like that, keep going, forget this, keep going with the holy name. You were talking about sometimes we feel inspired in the beginning to chant the holy name, and then maybe we might get a little discouraged. And I've noticed with myself that when there's a new melody, when we do kirtan, there's a new melody, I get a little fired up, because it's novelty for the mind. But I've heard that same melody about 10, 20 times. I'm not that fired up anymore because the novelty is worn out. So sometimes we can become attracted to the holy name because it's a new thing for the mind. The mind's never heard that, never done that. And we have to be careful when we're sadhana that we don't become familiar and we're not just acting on that emotional, mental platform, but we become a little more deep in our practice, and we try to get a little more understanding of what we're actually performing, rather than just the mental state. But a question I had is that sometimes in our programs we tend to want to diminish chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. We chant other things within the Jaya Jaya or Om or this or that because totally they become disturbed, they not be, or the Hare Krishna has a bad name, or bad rap, or different things like that. And should we just chant Hare Krishna, forget it, and then they'll get benefited, they like it, they don't like it, kind of thing, or should we, because from what you're describing, everything else from Bhaktisiddhanta, everything else seems to be useless if so it's always wondering.
Of course, Bhaktisiddhanta, he was saying Sri Nam Sankirtan and Sri Krishna Nam Sankirtan. So if that, Govinda Jaya Jaya and Rama Raghava Rama Raghava, that also counts as Nam Sankirtan. And Krishna Nam Sankirtan in the case of Govinda. But of course, the example of Srila Prabhupada, which I try to follow, and Indra Prabhu was very much into the Mahamantra. Indra Prabhu was so into the Mahamantra that if your period of time in the kirtan was during the Damodar prayers, during Kartik, you couldn't chant them. You had to chant Hare Krishna Japa while the Damodar prayers were going on, because he just wanted Hare Krishna vibrated 24 hours a day in that temple room. And it was one of the most frustrating things, because I'm very rarely in Vrindavan during Kartik, and because I wanted to go on parikrama, the only time I could be, my 6 hours had to include that Damodarastika. I think I did the kirtan from 7 to 1 so I could go on parikrama during the day or something. So it was very frustrating. But Prabhupada really did promote it. One thing we can do is, there's a verse, there's a literature called the Kali Santarana Upanishad, which is a conversation between Lord Brahma and Narada Muni, in which Narada Muni is asking him about the religion for the age of Kali. And Lord Brahma says, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti Shadashakam Nam Nam. These 16 names, Kali Kamasha Nashanam, destroy all the impurities of this age of Kali. Nata Parataro Paya. You won't find a superior process. Sarva Vedesha Drishti, if you look through all the Vedas. So we can explain the reason that we're chanting this mantra is because in this great body of literature from India, from which mentions these other mantras, it mentions that in this age, this is the main mantra. So we can actually explain why we're doing it. And before I met the Hare Krishnas, I went to Swami Muktananda's ashram in South Fallsburg, and lo and behold, they also chanted Hare Krishna because they understood that in this age, that's recommended. So it's right there in the Shastra, and Prabhupada promoted it. So on Harinam, I don't chant anything except, the three pranams and the three Shri Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Veda Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda, and then Hare Krishna after that, because that's really what Prabhupada chanted on Harinam. He didn't chant all these other things. And if we explain why we're chanting it, that it's referred to in the literature, that of course helps, and that's also glorification of the holy name, just reciting that verse. Yes, sir.
I heard a couple of stories, maybe you can confirm. The Rina Maharaj told, if I remember correctly, that he was listening to the Hari Haraya recording of Prabhupada, and it's a very old recording, I don't know if you heard it, it's kind of mystical in a sense. Hare Krishna. It's unique, let's say that. And Prabhupada, as I remember, said to him, if you just go on the street, play this recording and dance, and the whole world will come.
Wow.
And then, has anyone heard that story? And then there was another similar one about singing Isopanishad on the street, because when the Isopanishad came out, we all learned it, Prabhupada taught it. Back in Vancouver, we chanted it before Prasadam.
We did it in New York when I was there in 79.
So, also, or something like that, go on the street, chant Isopanishad. And then, the question I wanted to ask is, if the holy name is everything, why chant a bhajan? Because you're just taking time away, you could be chanting the Mahamantra. So, there must be some balance.
Yeah, well, one reason to chant the bhajans is because they glorify the holy name and they promote the holy name. And of course there's Gai Gaura Madhu Sore, which has a whole Mahamantra right in it. And they also promote the consciousness in which chanting the holy name will get the desired effect. They explain the humble mentality that one should chant the holy name to get the desired effect. And Prabhupada chanted the bhajans, but I don't know that he chanted the bhajans on Harinam. That's the thing. So other people are raising their hands, but
I have a microphone.
I also have a microphone. no, so I wanted to say one more thing before I forget it about Lakshmanath said. He told that nice story about how the Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj was chanting, and Prabhupada encouraged him to, chant more. So there's another part of that story that Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj said, when I saw Prabhupada do that, then I understood that he would be successful with his mission. Because he saw...
He would be the one spreading it all over the world.
Yeah, okay, beautiful, yeah. Okay, so let me see if there's anything else I had to say regarding what Mahatma said before I say anything else. I guess that's good enough for now. Yes, Shruti Kirti.
I was going to give the end of the story. Well,
Such a good story.
That's a very important part of the story.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, a little question about the importance of chanting. Again, Prabhupada translated so many books, which he said the purpose of the books was to bring you to the point of just chanting Hare Krishna. That's the point, is when we're ready to sit down and actually just chant Hare Krishna all the time. That's all you have to do. Where does the Brihat Vardaka come in as far as the congregational chanting go? Because it seems like Prabhupada took it to a whole other level. Initially, his idea, he said everyone go out on the chanting every day except for one person to stay back and take care of the deities. But then as the books distribution started, the street chanting very much turned into a book distribution, the Brihat Vardaka. So if you could make some comment about that.
Yeah, you very nicely spoke about that idea yesterday when you made the point that when Srila Prabhupada said that something was important, it didn't mean the things that he previously said were important were no longer important. But every
Because I have
He's
heard,
smart. He's smart.
he quoted my own class. The devotees who did that with Prabhupada too, he said, what color is Krishna? So a boy quoted Krishna book saying he's the color of dark, the rain cloud, And Prabhupada shook his head, no, he's blue like the sky. So with Prabhupada, you couldn't even get away with quoting him. One other point was I heard sometimes from people that have chanted with Diana, sometimes for years and years and years, they have a tendency to minimize even book distribution to the point that what they heard from Iyengar is outside of the congregational chanting, there was literally nothing else.
Well, as I said, I was in Vrindavan for Kartik in 2005, and I was on Indra Prabhu's party, and he said a couple things to me, and one of them was, he said, Srila Prabhupada stressed book distribution, and he stressed Harinam. People remember that he stressed book distribution, but they forget that he stressed Harinam. Therefore, I am stressing Harinam. So I think his feeling was that he just wanted to create balance, that both things were important, and everybody was remembering one thing was important, and very few people were remembering the other thing was important, and he wanted to bring back the balance. Not that he wanted to minimize book distribution, but he wanted that the holy name to the holy name out in the street not to be neglected. And in the beginning, of course, that they were done together, and they weren't really book distributors, but people on the Harinams, they took turns distributing books and singing, and that it was something that everybody did, and it was an integrated activity. And although it looks like I'm a free spirit and I do my own thing, I work under somebody in all the places I am. And in Europe, I work under Janananda Maharaj, who is very much, who always makes that point, how they go together, the book distribution and the Harinam. And if people have distributed books during the Harinam, they usually realize that it's easier to distribute books because for at least two reasons. One is that people become purified by hearing the holy name and more able to get the book, and also because it creates an interest, even psychologically. What are these people doing? And then, this book tells about what we're doing. Oh, okay. You're welcome. Thank you for your question, and it made me able to share that little piece of wisdom I got from Idru.
So my question is not related to this class, and so
maybe you could add something related.
I don't have anything related to that right now, but does it have to be related?
I think questions related to the class can be answered after we answer all the questions related to the class. Okay. and there's still time. But you can email the question to me at kk@krishna.com, and I'll be glad to answer it at my leisure. And if I space out, just send it again. So who else had a question?
I have a quick question.
Okay.
So you mentioned that when people chant Krishna's name, even if they're not serious about it, if they're laughing or joking about it, they still get benefit. And at the same time, devotees who chant, and if they are chanting inattentively, they get offensive, and that is detrimental to their chanting. So can you help me understand how just by doing it, indirectly you get benefit, and if you're serious but you're inattentive, you get like some adverse reaction. So.
Well, basically, because you know better, if somebody knows better and they don't act according to their better knowledge, then it's worse, basically. But there's always benefit chanting. It's just that. But if we know that we should be attentive when we're not, we don't get as much benefit as if we try to be attentive. And one interesting point is that we may be very, very inattentive and very poor at becoming more attentive. We may not be doing very well at it at all, but the important thing is to maintain a desire to chant attentively, no matter how bad we do it. Because Krishna is all-powerful and He's inclined to His devotees. And if we desire to do the right thing, even though we're so conditioned we do it very badly, if we maintain the desire to do the right thing, someday Krishna, who is very merciful, will fulfill our desire. And even though we may seem like anything actually in the beginning, like if you're learning a beat on the drum, it's not like every time you play the beat you get it right. You space out sometimes. But even though you only get it right a certain percentage of the time, by continuing to practice, you get to the point where you eventually get it right all the time. So that's also true with chanting. It was interesting to me that if you read Satsang Maharaj's Japa Reform Notebook, he's talking about his mind going all over the place. And he wrote that in the 80s. And if you read his Japa journal from like 5 years ago, he'll say, no outside thoughts. So that's he made progress in 30 years from his mind being all over the place to having some days with no outside thoughts. So that's encouraging. Back there.
According to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, kirtan is more powerful than japa. So how come in ISKCON we were not prescribed the minimum daily amount of kirtan? And if we are pressed for time during the day, and we have a choice between finishing our rounds or doing kirtan, which one should we do?
Well, those are good questions. Of course, it's the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, traditionally they take a vow to chant a certain number of names, like Haridas Thakur would chant 300,000 names, and Raghunath Das Goswami would chant 100,000 names, and we chant approximately 25,000 names. Basically, we chant 1,728 times 16, whatever that works out to be. Incidentally, 1,728, the number of mantras we chant, is 12 times 12 times 12, which is an interesting mathematical fact. And the other question was, if we haven't finished our rounds, should we engage in kirtan rather than finish our rounds? Well, my Guru Maharaj Satsrupa Das Goswami always encourages us to finish our rounds earlier in the day, so I personally try to do that. But the thing is, sometimes you can't always do kirtan because you need other devotees who want to do kirtan. So if the only time, suppose I'm like, I was with the guy who drove me from Kaunas to Vilnius so I could fly to Oslo and Dublin, Toronto and Montreal. We chanted the Mangalarati prayers together, whereas it would have been better for my japa just to chant, because that was the only time he would have to do a kirtan, and the only time I would have to do a kirtan, because for 25 hours I wouldn't be in the association of devotees, I'd just be on these airplanes. So it was practical that we used that, although we both had to chant 16 rounds and it was early in the day, it was practical that we sang together for half an hour in the car. So if your only chance to do kirtan is at a certain point and the whole rest of the day you won't have any devotees to do kirtan, better go for the kirtan, because kirtan is so important. You have till midnight to chant japa, and it's not very difficult. For me, it's not very difficult to chant japa. One time in Mayapur last September, I chanted 64 rounds for a week, and after that, chanting 16 rounds doesn't seem like a big thing. So I would do kirtan as long as if there's enough hours in the rest of the day to finish the japa, because there's very few opportunities I experience in my life to do kirtan with other people. So I think it's best to go for it. So. Yes, sir. Lakshmanath Prabhu.
In regards to your question that we can chant in any way and there's no offense, but then later on there's so many offenses, offense and so forth. In the beginning, we're like a child, so child's behavior is forgiven very easily, but an adult conducting himself like that would be not acceptable. So as we progress in Krishna consciousness, there's a little bit more that's being demanded of us. And also the goal changes. We're trying to develop pure love for Krishna, which in the beginning may not be what we're trying to get. We might just want to get relief from the miseries that's being imposed on us by the energy. But as we progress, we want to think something else. So there's the demand that's to attain that. There's something more that's required of us to attain that.
Thank you for that very beautiful answer. Of course, there's the time factor. It is 9 o'clock. Do people? I'm happy.
The last day we got all the time we want.
I'm happy to stay here, but if you want.
A quick response to his question: when we go out of our knowledge, the potency is there. The obvious answer is the order of the spiritual masters, where all the potency comes from. So we don't follow that, nothing will be successful. The other thing is, we also know that the Panchatattva mantra is more potent than the Hare Krishna mantra. And there was a period where devotees were starting to chant rounds of Panchatattva mantra. And of course, Prabhupada said, we chant Hare Krishna mantra because that's the order of Lord Chaitanya.
We also taking the vows to chant 16 rounds.
Yes, so that becomes what's important.
Thank you for